All right, guys, welcome to the Give It Podcast, a podcast for blurs, for nerds. If you have a fandom, you are most certainly welcome here. If you're looking at your clock and wondering, yeah, you guys are on a Saturday? Yes, there is a reason why we're here on a Saturday, and as you can look from the title of this podcast, Barry tried us. Much more, technically, Barry and Mother Nature. Unfortunately, he hit the timeline again, which caused power outages, which again did interrupt this podcast. So we're back again to sit there and say, you tried it, Barry. You tried. But just for reintroductions, I myself am Black Spartan. Of course, the man to my left, to your right, depending on your screen is flipped, who has given us the greatest comment for last night. Go ahead, sir.
Speed Force Insulated Joe Tonello. Also here to remind you that you can find us in podcast form on Spotify, Stitcher for however much longer it's open, Amazon Music, and Google Podcast.
Yep. But together we are the Give It Podcast, and much like the WWE of old, we do have choice language, but we don't really cuss a lot. At the
My
same
choice
time,
language is English.
At the same time, there may be things that might be shown that might be too intense for younger viewers, so viewer discretion is advised. So we're going to pick up right back where we left off, because again, if you're wondering what we're getting at, is that, well, we decided that we are going to talk about the dumpster fire that is The Flash.
I thought we were talking about the movie that's technically grave robbing, which is still The Flash.
Still The Flash. Still The Flash. But yes, if you've been under a rock, The Flash not has done very well in theaters. It looks like it will be projected to have a loss.
So as of today,
Mm-hmm.
It has officially made back its production cost, meaning we are now in Birds of Prey territory.
That's bad.
Which is really bad, which is really sad because I really enjoy Birds of Prey. I thought that was a good movie.
It was watchable. It was watchable. But no, with The Flash, guys, again, the star of the show, who might as well have been the Reverse Flash himself in real life, and of course, Michael Keaton donning the cowl again as Batman. That man's back is probably hurting, in my opinion, from carrying the movie. And of course, Kara, the introduction of Supergirl, which at the end was a great introduction to Supergirl and seeing General Zod again and things of that nature. But overall, the movie just didn't really hit the notes that Warner Brothers executives were hoping for. Was this tied in part to that this is tied to the rest of this is tied to the Snyderverse? Was it because of Ezra Miller's extracurricular activities outside of the movie? It could have been a combination of all those things. And the fact that this was the movie that really did not get a lot of press up until the release of it. But just to rehash everything before Barry decided that our podcast needed to end last night, it was just the fact, now I'm going to toss this to Joe after that. It's just the fact that, yes, there were certain parts of the movie that were enjoyable, certain parts of the movie that I believe did have areas in showing. Unfortunately, all of them did not seem to include Ezra Miller. I mean, I forgot the actress that played Supergirl. I really loved her rendition of it. Michael Keaton's Batman, let's just be honest, he is the Batman that we grew up with in the Tim Burton era, and his action scenes to me didn't disappoint. But overall, when the star of your show is getting outshined by two other cast members, and we also have to remember the fact of everything that's happened beforehand, up until the movie, and as we pointed out last night before we got interrupted by the Speed Force, Ezra Miller and his appearance at DC Expo, the Fancast episode, the Fancast one, where as me and Joe have both said, he was on something. You could tell he was on something. But it just seemed like it was a doomed train from beginning to end. And instead of them shelving it like they did Batgirl, they decided to roll the dice on this because too much was invested. But Joe, your thoughts on this?
The third act saved this movie's butt. I enjoyed Michael Keaton's performance, but at the same time, it was very apparent that he is there purely for the nostalgia grab, and it was a hard nostalgia grab. We're talking like Captain Commando, Spencer from Bionic Commando types of grabs.
But I did love the lines they used, though, even though those were all nostalgia pops. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what they were there for. They were there for nostalgia pops. Like, I had to take myself out of the, ooh, it's Batman. Ooh, it's Batman. It's like, okay, let's see what this is actually doing. Is he giving us anything new?
Mm-hmm.
And not, I mean, better fight scenes, because even though this looked like PlayStation 2 graphics the majority of the time, that is a bump from the Atari graphics we had previously in '89. So, okay, I'll be fair.
I think that fair?
NES. Kirby graphics, the Kirby graphics of '89. But Sasha Kale, who played Supergirl, did
That's her name.
tremendous job. I find it odd, though, that the most parting memory and the most consistent actors all throughout the Snyderverse are Viola Davis's Amanda Waller and Michael Shannon's General Zod, who seem to be the two most consistent characters throughout the entirety of the Snyderverse, both in character consistency, performance, and appearance.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that, but I think, like I said before, it goes back to that whole thing of like going back to, we're not seeing anything new from Keaton. I think it's because if we did, we kind of forget the Flash is there. I kind of think we did see something new from Keaton. It's like they try to show him as an older Batman that just, stopped being Batman, and only like, thanks to the Flash and being brought back into the fold again, it was like, you allowed me to be Batman again. And I'm like, if this is supposed to be the paradox, and director Machete, I'm like, you could have gave us the letter scene. You really,
well, the letter scene wouldn't make any sense because he never met Bruce's father.
Well, that's the thing. That's the one thing that bothered me about this. That's what I'm getting into before we move on. The direction of the movie, where it's like you literally. I'm like, when we expected Flashpoint Paradox, we expect to see Reverse Flash. I'm going to be honest. I expected it just because in Paradox we expected it, almost in the comics, and in the animated version of Flashpoint Paradox we expected it. So it's like you already have the roadmap to tell this story in a cinematic fashion, but you didn't. You basically made Barry his worst enemy, and his worst enemy was a terrible-looking Savitar. That's the thing that just you completely missed the mark on this, because don't get me wrong about characters playing duality characters. James McAvoy in Split is a prime example of that. He did a wonderful rendition of multiple personalities being played. But the whole Barry fighting against himself, teaming up with himself, at the same time keeping himself from doing the same thing, which turns him into his own villain, is probably the most convoluted plot line you can have for the Flash if you're doing the Paradox story. So just to me, as I throw to Joe for his final comments on this, it was a dumpster fire that thankfully after Aquaman 2 will signal the end of the Snyderverse. I'm not mad at Jason Momoa. We all know the role he's got. So he's not too worried about how Aquaman 2 The Lost Kingdom is going to come out. He is already set in Gunn's new DC Studios universe. But overall, it's just that we were expecting, well, let's be honest, we weren't expecting a lot from The Flash. But again, this is a great example of what happens when Warner Brothers executives, a director with too much creative licensing freedom, decides to really hack the story. And again, when your main actor gets in so much trouble that he can't even do press releases, that's saying a lot. And yet Batgirl is still locked up in a vault somewhere, and yet we can't see it. But Joe, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the Batgirl movie probably wasn't going to be any good anyways, but I would have given it a shot and had a much higher expectation because, we would have had Brendan Fraser as a bad guy, and we haven't quite gotten that. But as for this movie, I'll be blunt. This movie is not great. ultimately forgettable, and pretty much ends the Snyderverse on the note that some of us wanted it to,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate because none of us technically ill wish anything on anybody. Like, regardless of what we think about Zack Snyder as a filmmaker, as a person, nothing but hope and love for that man. Because, I mean, he's already been through enough.
True.
His vision, however, for the thing is clear that he really only read The Dark Knight Rises and The Death of Superman and
Pretty much.
went from there. Like I said, this movie is ultimately forgettable. Like, I guarantee in December, we're probably going to still be talking about Spider-Verse because we're going to be watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt anyone's going to be like, oh boy, Flash is going to hit streaming. It's like, so, Flash is going to hit streaming. So what else is on?
It is going to be like a TikTok commercial. That's
Yeah,
how that's
going
going
to be forgettable.
Yeah. I mean, versus Across the Spider-Verse. Oh, you can finally watch it. Oh, we can watch it at home? Then we will analyze that movie to death until we get beyond Spider-Verse, which won't be until sometime next year. But anyway.
I mean,
if
anything, I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne Johnson is right. The landscape for DC has forever changed because now they have the Home Gardening channel on Max.
Yeah, pretty much.
Plenty of landscape changing on that station now.
That's fairly true. I can't knock that, but yes, the landscape has changed, just not in the way that they were hoping for it. But another movie we want to give our quick impressions of before we get to some video game news. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Got to watch it, and Joe, I'm gonna let you go first on this one. I finally got to watch it, but Joe, your thoughts on this? What do you think of this movie?
So aside from Harrison Ford being way too old to be in this role, he does a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I would like this moving forward with the actress that played Helena Shaw in her own spin-off series, because I think she can carry the spirit of Indiana Jones just fine.
Yeah.
This does end up being in my top 3 for Indiana Jones, so now it's 1, 3, 5, 2, 4. I had a good chuckle in the thing where they just completely wrote off Crystal Skull almost in a headline on a television that's only playing in the background.
As it should.
You really got to listen to it. I do feel bad for Shia LaBeouf.
To have his character killed off in the Vietnam War?
Is it Vietnam or is it World War II?
No, sorry. Vietnam. No, Vietnam.
No, it is Vietnam. You are correct.
Okay.
It can't be Vietnam because Vietnam is
60s, so
60s and 70s.
So that'd be about right.
So it'd be World War II?
Yeah, so that'd be World War II, not Vietnam.
Well, what about the Korean War? When was that?
Somewhere in the between.
We'll just say he died in a war.
Yeah.
We don't know at what point that is. I think my only criticism I have for this movie is we had a lot of talk about time travel.
Yeah.
So I was expecting the third act to be like a time hop of them doing small things in the other Indiana Jones movies. And we keep seeing CGI de-aged Harrison Ford, like in the foreground doing his things, but like half of his stuff wouldn't work if old Indian Helena were like, move this slightly to the left.
You know what? It was interesting how they did that. How they actually explained how the dial works. I'm like, you know what? That's ingenious. It wasn't, and again, we're not trying to give too much away about the movie because that's still really fresh.
Yes.
But how they did it was not exactly what I thought they would do, and that's perfect.
But still very enjoyable. It's kind of funny. I wish I could say it's funny seeing Indy's classic villains in the 70s, but it's 2023 and we're still dealing with Indy's classic villains.
Yeah, I mean,
so kind of poignant.
Them Nazis have mastered fast travel, as far as I'm concerned. The Nazis have mastered fast travel, because my God. But no, Mads Mikkelsen,
fantastic job.
That man is a phenomenal actor. It was in, of course, this isn't a spoiler because as you can see in the poster, you do see Antonio Banderas. his portion of the movie was definitely funny. And again,
That was Antonio Banderas?
Yes, that was
I did
him.
not realize that the whole movie.
Yep, that was him. But yes, to see Harrison Ford don the hat and the whip again, and just he did give old man get off my lawn vibes, but it was still fun to watch. If I had to rank Dial of Destiny, I would probably put that, because usually I'll go with, because still to my favorite, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Let's see, The Temple of Doom, The Last Crusade. Actually, The Last Crusade and Dial of Destiny may be a tie for me. I may have that in the third spot. Just because it is, to me, because Dial of Destiny did give me Last Crusade vibes, just because you see a lot of familiar characters from the movie in there. But overall, I couldn't complain. It was great. The ending, I did not expect that. I was really thinking it was going to go a different route. But you know what? It's
More
solid.
power to it.
Yeah, more power to it. At the same time, I'm not against that spinoff that you were talking about. I'm not against it, to see if they really want to continue that. But that's going to be up to Lucasfilms and Disney for that. But any other thoughts on
I
the
can't
show?
believe you're not. This is not above Temple of Doom for you.
Temple of Doom is always going to be near and dear to my heart. It is.
Is it because it's just that bad it's good, or what?
It's one of those things. Actually, the funny part was, Temple of Doom was actually my first Indiana Jones movie. Then it was Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I've always
Is it
had
because
that.
it's the only time he's not fighting Nazis?
You know, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. That is the only movie. Yeah, that is the only Indiana Jones movie where he's not fighting Nazis. You were exactly right. But no, it's one of those things to me where it's just it's fandom. It just, that's what sticks to me. I know I can't give another more logical point to that. It just sticks to me as being my first Indiana Jones movie. But
see, when I first saw this poster, I honest to God thought the Antonio Banderas was just an aged up Shia LaBeouf. It's like, man, he had a rough life being Indy's kid.
Damn. You wouldn't be wrong, though.
Now, as a smaller picture, I honestly can't tell them apart.
Yeah. Because
So
it
it's
kind of,
like, what in God's name happened to Indy the Third?
yeah, that was him. That's definitely rough. But overall, I have no issues with the movie. I thought it was very well done. In the aspect that they did learn from Kingdom of the Crystal. They did learn from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. They did learn from that and really went back to his roots. Even though Jones is much older, and again, action was there, story was there. Can't complain. I loved it. Joe?
No, like I said, I enjoyed it. This is in my top 3 for Indiana Jones, with the exception of maybe an episode or 2 from Young Indiana Jones Adventures. Please go watch Phantom Train Caper on Disney Plus. That is like so peak Indiana Jones, it's not even funny.
Nice.
Every episode of those is like a mini movie of the thing, and plus they are a mini movie. They're like an hour to an hour 30 minutes a piece, and
yeah,
it goes from the time Indy's a kid till him being a soldier in World War One.
Yeah.
Honestly, skip the kid stuff and just go straight to him being a teenager, and just do the middle and latter half. Young Indy, the kid does a great job, but I don't care about 6 to 10-year-old Indiana Jones. I care about 13 to 21-year-old Indiana Jones.
The Last Crusade Indiana Jones will always be my favorite, just because of him and the interaction with his dad.
Oh yes,
that'll always stick with me. But anyway, we do have some more reviews to go over, guys. But before we do that, there are some trailers that we did want to actually display. Joe covered this a week ago about Nintendo Direct as they dropped some new trailers. This one recently came out that Disney again, Disney again is making another game to be released for Nintendo Switch. No, it's not Kingdom Hearts. This one is actually called Disney Illusion Island. Check it out.
The land of Moloth is a beautiful, magical place, but its history is not without its darker moments.
1,000 evils will rain down untold suffering and misery.
That's it! For me, that's a Tuesday.
We're in desperate need of your help. Our entire world is in danger.
Uh-oh.
You must travel to the 3 biomes of Monoth and retrieve the tomes of knowledge.
Don't you worry, Toku. We won't let you down.
But be prepared. It will not be easy.
Well, I think if others are in need, we should help them. And if that makes us heroes, then let's be heroes.
Oh, I've got a question. What are we doing again?
You know, I'm not mad about that. That's Disney Illusion Island that is going to be released on the Nintendo Switch. And honestly, the artwork is really, really good. I mean, it's a little bit more of an update from Steamboat Willie. But as you can see, it doesn't have a release date yet. It's actually up for pre-order now on the Nintendo Switch. I think it's great that, another Disney game is coming out. I was expecting another Kingdom Hearts, but, that's wishful thinking at this moment. But what do you think, Joe?
I mean, they're using the art style from those Mickey Mouse shorts, which are getting so much tremendous mileage for that thing being almost 6 or 7 years old now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely, if you are interested in going check that out, I definitely will say watch the Christmas episode and watch the Halloween episode. Stuff gets dark that Halloween episode.
Man.
Zombie Goofy's a thing.
But speaking of dark humor, though, that next show that we do have, guys, you know what? I have to say this about Futurama. I thought it was wrapped up a long time ago, and yet it's getting a whole new season come July 24th on Hulu. Here's the trailer.
Welcome to your new home.
Our new home.
Oh, we're back, baby.
In 2 seconds, you will collide with your destination.
Good news, everyone. We seem to have survived a massive disruption in the flow of time.
Wait, what exactly happened?
Here, look at this. Stop fighting! Okay, I'm done. To the ship!
A new virus has broken out.
I've developed a test to see who's infected. You jam this Q-tip up your nose. That looks kind of fun. I can't wait to do it hundreds of times.
Pretty lawless out here in crypto country.
Say, you interested in a job?
Why don't you have a belt?
Or at least a substantial butt. Sorry, guys. I'm a flatty. Lens gave me gift. That's an order. Ow! You do you, weirdo! I'll bite my glittering festive ass! Yep.
How do we get out of here?
Easy, we'll burrow out. Burrow! Burrow! I deserve that.
I'm just glad you're back.
Would you like to order erotic scented massage oil or fuzzy handcuffs?
Yes,
God,
please.
that's creepy.
Yeah, so creepy.
They do not get old. You would think so, but it doesn't get old. But that's Futurama, the new season that will be coming out July 24th on Hulu. They are going to take a lot of shots. But then again, it's the same guy who's the creator of The Simpsons. How do you expect him not to take shots at current events, especially COVID? But I'm just looking forward to that. Like I said before, I'm not going to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I thought Futurama was really wrapped up as far as 3 or 4 years ago, not realizing it's still going on. But Joe, any thoughts on that?
Oh, I'll watch it. No problem. I mean, it's Futurama. It's always going to be consistently good and consistently funny.
Yeah, fair. That is true. So we're going to switch gears for a second because Jonathan Majors, it's a weird thing for Kang right now because at the beginning of the year, we were very happy for Jonathan Majors because of his role in because of his role in Ant-Man Quantumania. We loved him.
Creed.
And we loved him in Creed. His photo shoot as Don Flamingo was awesome. And then, well, we saw that report that, well, he may have been allegedly an abuser. And since then, it has been a roller coaster of news that has came out, those that have came forward, and well, Disney has been very quiet about what they will do, although they have sat there and said that contingencies are in place because, well, let's be honest, they don't want to make the same mistake they did with Johnny Depp, which is the reason why we'll probably never see a Pirates of the Caribbean ever again.
But they did make the mistake because they've shown us all the different versions of Kang, and they're all Jonathan Majors.
That is also true. The reason why we're bringing this up, guys, is because, well, Jonathan Majors and his lawyer did present some evidence. That evidence was actually presented to where even though the charges of abuse have been dropped against him, there's still a trial going forward in the next couple of weeks. But they expect that case to be thrown out. At the same time, there is a warrant out for the arrest of his ex-girlfriend who has left the country. But aside from that, there is a new report. Again, like I said, there's more to this story. This is wild as far as there's more to this story as it goes along. That Jonathan Majors may have been allegedly having this type of abusive activity and personality for a little more than over a decade. So again, this is another situation to where it's like he gets out of one hole, and then it's like, here comes curveball number two. The actual company, the actual publication, Rolling Stone, is the one that's producing this, saying that they've spoken to 24 sources about the actor's recent domestic assault charges, who claim that the actor has a history of abusive behavior throughout previous relationships as well as during his time at Yale. Quote unquote, no one is surprised the sources came out. It has always felt like it was a matter of time because his behavior never changed. He's kind of a bad dude, and now it's just catching up with him, end quote. Of course, Jonathan Major has denied these claims, and yet Rolling Stone has yet to produce these sources. So, I always believe in this. Regardless of who you are, everybody has their chance in court. You're innocent until proven guilty. Until you're found guilty by a jury of your own peers, that's what it is. Some people will sit there and say, well, Jonathan Majors is a method actor. We've known plenty of method actors through the years. Sean Penn is a method actor. I Am Sam.
Jared Leto.
Yeah, Jared Leto, Daniel Day-Lewis, when he played President Lincoln, also a method actor. Wesley Snipes, again, a method actor. Now,
Jim Carrey, but that actually kind of lends credence to their things where if you're method acting to the point of your whole personality shifts to be the actual character and you cause problems, maybe you don't do that. If you're curious what I'm talking about, go watch Over the Moon, I think, or something to that degree. The making of the Andy Kaufman thing where Jim Carrey basically becomes Andy Kaufman and just becomes an unholy nightmare to everybody around them.
I mean, but that's the thing, though. That's what they're trying to say. They're trying to say, well, this is limited to this. And as much as I keep saying, I hope that first and foremost, I hope the truth comes out. If it validates him, if it validates and completely exonerates him, cool. If he's found out to be guilty, then he should face his actions, no question. Do I hope that this all blows over and the fact that he does get exonerated and he can continue being Kang? I would like to think so. Yeah. I would hope to think so. But at this point, I can understand why he's laying low. I can understand why Disney is watching very, very closely. I can also understand why Disney's getting contingency plans in place because this story will affect, and this thing about it, this case with him will affect who is going to be the main villain for the MCU going forward. But yeah, it's odd that he gets out of one hole, And yet now there's these other publications that are coming out, and it's like, oh well, he's always been this way, or he's always had this issue. And
He had me sign an NDA, so I can't discuss this kind of stuff.
right. So that's where it's just it's odd, but at the same time, I like I said, I want to hope for him, but at the same time, let the evidence and the truth come out. Either it exonerates him or it condemns him. One of the two. But Joe, any thoughts on that?
No, pretty much just mirroring what you said. Like, we're not going to cast a shadow of a doubt on him. We are really only reading what is provided to us. We try to find sources if possible.
Mhm.
So we are citing the Rolling Stones article with this. So we are basically regurgitating. Me and Will, we both want him. Both want the best outcome for him. We are not going to doubt him. We're not going to hate on him. We want him to come back as king. We want him to continue moving forward. Hopefully this works out in the long run. But, again, if you're acting, and the one thing I'll say is if your acting style causes you to be problematic, maybe take a step back and try to find a new method of acting or a new style of acting, because if you're becoming problematic, that's an issue.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, we're not trying to sit there and say that method acting isn't effective, but it's not an excuse either.
No.
That's the thing. That's the spin cycle of it all. It's like, oh well, he's a method actor, so his actions. It's like when they try to do Wesley Snipes. Like Wesley Snipes, famously, when he was Blade, wouldn't answer to Wesley Snipes. He'd answer to Blade. And again, I've never heard anyone say that he wasn't. I mean, from what I remember from what I was reading during Blades 1, 2, and 3 in Trinity, no one's ever sat there and said that Wesley Snipes wasn't horrible to work with. If anything, in Trinity, Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel actually praised him for him being so open. And even during his tax evasion, when he came back and did Gala Walkers, they loved him. They said he was open. He was very, sociable. He had questions, things of that nature. So
I still think the most true version of Wesley Snipes is in the Dolomite movie.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, but still, you're not wrong at all. You're not wrong.
You don't know what Wesley Snipes is actually like? Go watch Dolomite.
Man, that part alone, if you don't know what we're talking about, watch Dolomite. Not the more updated version where we're not actually at Superfly, but no, watch Dolomite. You'll understand. But yeah, like I said, we're hoping the best outcome for Jonathan Majors. But if he is found guilty, he should face a letter of the law. But if he's not found guilty, let this man live. Because again, speaking from the Blurred side of things, we need more prominent actors of that caliber, just because they can give us commanding presence in scenes. Like I said, let the truth come out. We're hoping for the best. But man, if I was him, I can understand why I'm going nowhere near social media or just lying low at this moment, just because. But other news before we get to our next trailer, because this one I'm surprised about. Joe brought this one up because Marvel usually does interesting issue releases. This one, I am surprised. What I mean by that is the release of Spider-Boy. This is basically the announcement of a new ongoing series that stars Bailey Briggs, aka Spider-Boy. This was an announcement back on June 26th that they were going to do a Spider-Boy series by co-creator and writer Dan Slott, artist Paco Medina. And well, the complaint level is basically because we're getting a relatively new character that has no backstory, and yet is getting their own run, while current Spider heroes don't get the same kind of love. What I mean by that is, if you, like I said, just for example, we have right here where it shows this one, where one guy says, "We literally have so many other Spider-Man for storytelling potential. We don't need this." Can't argue with them. They're 100% right. This one, do we really need to keep making more Spider people instead of just making good stories with the ones we already have? Can't argue that either. Of course, this person, did they say ongoing? Is this not a mini? This little snot is getting a full ass ongoing while every other established POC is struggling to get 5 issue minis. Damn. I didn't think about that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like that doesn't really correlate to what we're going here with. Like, they're the most prominent POC is the most recognizable Spider-Man for this generation.
Right.
So, like, I don't necessarily agree with that one because Miles is, for a lot of people now, Miles is Spider-Man, not Peter.
Yeah. So that's why I was confused about. I said, were they? I mean, and this is what I'm thinking of, because I was like, I know they're not talking about Miles Morales just because he's getting a lot. I mean, movie-wise, he's getting the shine. His issues, he's getting about the same type of issue runs, if not closer to Peter, but definitely more than Ben.
He literally just finished his own version of Maximum Carnage.
Right. So it's like, I'm not understanding. Like I said, if they're not talking about Miles, I understand. Are they talking more about Gwen? You know, as far as Spider-Gwen?
No,
Spider-Gwen, that's what I'm saying. Spider-Gwen, I thought about that. But Spider-Gwen still is getting another run. So who else could they be talking about except the one-offs?
Silk's getting a 5-issue mini.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of other people of color for Spider-Man.
Right.
Anya Corazon is would be one, and then Peter Pavardar is getting Spider-Man India mini. I'm wondering if this is a subtle jab at the exploding popularity of Hobie and them wanting an ongoing Hobie series.
That's the only thing I can think of between that and Spider-Woman. That's it. But even Spider-Woman's got to run.
Well, Spider-Woman is just a variant of Jessica Drew.
Yeah.
And this one in the movie, and guys, I mean, I'm going to say it, she is a very bland and ultimately pointless character in that movie, and I hope they give her a broader thing to do in the third movie because she was ultimately just there to, like, hey, I'm pregnant and I'm the one who trains Gwen.
Well, she was kind of a linchpin because she was the one that was kind of rude. She was the one that was kind of, you know, being
the reason Gwen got on to the spider thing. But like after that, it was like complete drop off for her character.
Yeah, because I kept expecting her to go against Miguel.
Yep.
I kept expecting it. It never happened. But maybe it happens, and we could be foreshadowing. Maybe it happens in Across the Spider-Verse. But I'm sorry, it maybe happens in Beyond the Spider-Verse. Maybe. But again, that's the wild part. But we think about that. It's like, what other Spider-Man? I mean, because almost every popular spider hero is getting a run somewhere down the line.
Well, not quite. So we know Ben's in Spider-Man jail at the moment, but I would love a Scarlet Spider book to pick Kane back up because Kane had a very enjoyable run during his Texas time.
Okay.
And co-starring in Ben's book and while he was in Vegas. And Kane literally just popped back into reality as the event of Into the Spider-Verse. So I would love to have Kane come back. Maybe do some other things with some other alternate characters, like we just got introduced in this week's issue of Edge of the Spider-Verse, an alternate reality version of Miles' little sister is a spider person called Spider Smasher. I would love a thing with that. Their Black Cat is from the Dominican Republic with the kid who looks very similar to Miles, but we'll leave that over there.
But here's the thing, though. And I say this because Joe has said it, I have said it. Sales and reorders tell the story on what readers want to read. And I'm not saying that Spider-Boy was recommended. This seems more like a Marvel decision than a consumer decision.
Yeah, this is Dan Slott wanting another character to make a paycheck because what's the word I'm looking for here? The whole thing about Spider-Boy is that he was the first to be erased from reality. Yeah. And supposedly he has been Peter's sidekick since forever. Like he was 8 when Peter was 15 and just being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And they got bit by the same spider, like him and Silk. And he's been in all of his adventures. He's been there, and we've been known by the entire Marvel community for Here to Beyond, and everything got erased, and no one remembers him. And frankly, and this is me, and I'm a Spider-Man supporter, and we know I'm what my current stance on things are right now, but like this is not me hating on it. This is me seeing a pointless character being a cash grab for a writer. And you know, writers got to make money. I will say that, right? They got to make their money.
Right.
Or power to them. This to me, it reeks of you made a character so you can get your costume in the upcoming video game.
Sounds about right.
That Spider-Boy costume is an alternate Miles costume. I guarantee it.
But that's why I said it's just odd. But like you said, this is why I say to consumers, for those readers out there that do subs and subs have pull requests, you guys really do dictate a lot of these stories out here, whether it's Miles, whether it's Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, across various genres and publications.
Oh yeah, we shut them down. We've shut them down before. Do you remember when they wanted to reboot New Warriors with Snowflake and Safe Space?
Oh,
we shouted that book out of existence.
Oh yeah, that was a quick hell no. You ain't wrong about that. But again, what we're trying to say here, guys, is just that for most things we usually agree with when someone sit there and says, well, of all the Spider people, like they try to say in this one that, you know, Spider-Boy getting released was not what we wanted when we want other stories out there. But as me and Joe both said and have pointed out, and feel free in the comments to point this out to us as well, because if we miss somebody, let us know. But everybody that we named off that was considered the popular POC Spider heroes, they have runs. They have minis. So forgive us not understanding what the disconnect is, because unless you have somebody specific, we simply don't see it.
Like the reason why they are not getting runs is because they are, and I'll say this right now, this popularity for Hobie, it's not going to be there in several months. And if it is, that's fantastic. But in the long run, they know that they can put out a 5-issue Hobie book.
Yep.
It make big money rather than seeing dwindling returns over the course of time when people fall off from Hobie stuff.
And again, that's the thing about it. Hobie is a great character to those that did not know who Spider-Punk is.
Correct.
That if you did not know who Spider-Punk was, and you saw Across Spider-Verse, you loved Hobie. For a lot of us that know Hobie, it's like if you try to tell his story and you try to make it into a comic book run, long-wise, you're gonna get bored. It has to be a limited series. Has to be, just because the way of his behavior, of his story. It's like, you know, I hate the AM, I hate the PM. That's all you really need to know about the guy.
Yep.
Really. Aside from the fact that he has no problem disrupting the system. Oh, hey, lady, how you doing? Hey, Geek by Heart. Hey, lady. But yeah, it's just the whole idea of just we're not getting exactly where this level of we need more spider hero storytelling when it's out there. But like we said, let us know in the comments what other heroes they may be talking about, or even if you have some of yours. I mean, if you're a fan of Chasm, just say you're a fan of Chasm. We're not going to judge you much.
He will. I won't. I'll just say thank you for supporting Ben Riley. Okay, so I do have some minor news. We do have some pretty fun Toku news that's coming up. We have next week the premiere of Ultraman Blazer, which is the newest Ultraman series. They did release a big announcement, and this is going to join into the Power Rangers. Is they're, for the first time ever, they're going to be doing a simulcast dual language for Ultraman Blazer, meaning you can get your Japanese and your English at the same time.
Nice.
The big thing is that the person headlining the dub is Johnny Young Bosch, will be Ultraman Blazer,
That man
the subsequent human hero.
That man stayed more collecting paychecks. But go ahead.
You know, we could have asked him. If I had known that, I would have asked him on that. And he probably would just like, I can't talk about it. But still, Johnny Young Bosch at this point, I think he is now, he may be more successful than Jason David Frank, because now he's crossing into different Toku genres.
I mean, yeah, because he was doing Bleach. And now he's going to Ultraman. Did he voice one more? I've looked that
so
up.
Many things. He has not been in any of the American versions of Kamen Rider.
Thank you. That's all.
He is the English voice of Brawl, the new English voice actor for Brawly after Vic Badunkadunk got canceled for being overall creeper to Congoers everywhere.
Yeah.
He is the current voice actor for Zero in Mega Man X, meaning the "What are you fighting for?" scream is no longer a meme and it now sounds badass.
That's what I was trying to remember.
What are you fighting for?
Yeah, that's all I was trying to remember. But no. But yeah, it's just that man is just like I said.
That works.
I mean, that and Power Rangers leaving the New Zealand. They made their home in New Zealand for such a time, and now they're leaving.
They have still not given a reason for that. I'm wondering if it's Hasbro has a new production site which will get them better shooting for less money. That would be
guess because New Zealand made bank off the fact that every Power Rangers that was shot there?
Since the Disney era.
Yeah, so it's like they made bank off that, really. But okay. But getting back to our trailers, guys, this one again, you know what? I don't understand kids. And I say kids, maybe some adults out there. I will never understand Five Nights at Freddy's. I will never understand it. My nephews and my son, they love it. I'm a little concerned, but the reason why I bring up Five Nights at Freddy's is that they have a trailer for it. You be the judge.
I don't understand the fascination with the old one, but the new game that came out is just Alien Isolation with robots coming after you.
I just, for kids that are not, you know what? Let's just play a trailer before we give our thoughts on it. Here's a trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's.
Hi, this is Mike. I was just calling to see if that job that you offered was still available.
Yes. The security guard.
I will take anything.
This place was huge in the 80s with the kids. They shut it down years ago. The owner's just not ready to let it go yet.
I will work and you will sleep.
I understand.
Give me your hand.
All you have to do is keep your eyes on the monitor.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's, where fantasy and fun come to life.
Okay.
You must be new security guard.
Can I help you, officer?
Have you met them yet?
Met who?
Them. In the 80s, kids went missing. The police searched Freddy's top to bottom.
Hello?
They never found them. That's why the place shut down.
There are ghost children possessing giant robots. Thanks for the heads up.
Technically, they're animatronics.
What do they want?
They want to make her like them.
Bobby! Tell me how to stop them.
It's too late.
Bobby, go!
Where to? Why do I always get the weirdos?
Yeah. So, guys, that was Five Nights at Freddy's, which will be on Peacock, streaming on Peacock October 27th. I guess if you're into dilapidated areas to where animatronics can be possessed by spirits that like to kill kids, it's up your alley. That's about the best thing I got for that.
That's kind of antithetical to what the actual story is, what this movie's saying, because apparently they're trying to kill the security guard because the security guard killed them, so they're trying to always protect kids from security guards. Now they're trying to kill kids.
This is
also, I think this was an extended trailer because the one I sent you, I don't remember Golden Freddy being in there.
No, this was the one I think this was the one I found that was an extended one, but again, like I said before, I understand the survival horror. I understand the whole thing of jump scares, things of that nature, and that for some, it just may be up your alley. I know for me, it's not. I can't speak for Joe, but if it is up your alley, if you are a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's, then hey, it'll be on Peacock come October 27th for your viewing pleasure. I'm going to be honest, I'm not covering it just because it's not me. I'm barely going to be covering Twisted Metal when it comes out. That's how much faith I have in that show. But yeah, that's about the much I can say about that. Joe, anything else before we move on to Microsoft?
No, let's proceed.
But you wonder why I said Microsoft? Yes, because in the console wars, let's be honest, acquiring things is a normal thing of life. But Xbox, specifically an email that came out to where I'm going to be questioning somebody in networking is going to be fired because Phil Spencer had written to Amy Hood, who is the vice president at Microsoft, and said, again, this is, as you can see here, the actual email that was sent out, request for strategy approval for Sega. Quote unquote, I am writing to request strategy approval to approach Sega Sammy regarding a potential acquisition of their Sega Gaming Studios. For context, Bill and I have reviewed the business case for acquiring Sega and are both supportive. We believe that Sega has a well-balanced portfolio of games across segments with global geographic appeal and will help us accelerate Xbox Game Pass both and on and off console. Please find the attached memo and bullets below for additional details on our strategy, prioritize our next acquisition target, a brief overview of Sega's gaming portfolio, and the value drivers for the potential acquisition. So, long story short, Phil Spencer, as we all know, the most recognizable face, the face of Xbox for Microsoft, is saying yes, he wants to work with Sega, but they're also considering Sega, Bungie, and at this moment, an unnamed IO. So that's three possibly major IPs that Microsoft is now gunning for to add to their repertoire. Now, keep in mind, they are still fighting the FTC on their acquisition of Activision. It's still going on. And at this point, it looks like it just may not go through, citing antitrust issues. But with Xbox going after Sega has always been how can I put it so nicely? Sega has always been the treasure trove. Now, I always regret that Sega really and truly could have turned around and got us, and Dreamcast. Sega Dreamcast was really ahead of its time. It was to me one of Sega's greatest consoles. But since then, Sega has just focused on IPs and video games for other platforms. Now, again, Sega's library is vast. I mean, not just the Sega Genesis, the Sega CD, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast. The library there is vast. And with Bungie was initially one for Halo, and now across Destiny. So I don't get that. So I'm not against what Phil Spencer's trying to do, because right now, Xbox Game Pass to me is probably the best value bang for buck out there on content libraries. Do not get me wrong about PlayStation Plus and their library. It is starting to get better. It is starting to add on more titles that a lot of us gamers want to see. But ultimately, Xbox, with its day one, what I mean by day one, I mean by the fact of they have a lot of the title games, specifically those on the PlayStation side, available day one via Game Pass, which again adds value to it. That's why I'm sitting there. That's why I'm sitting there saying I understand what Phil's trying to do, and I'm not against it. But at the same time, it's not desperation, but is this a sign of the times that a lot of these IPs out here that make games and not consoles will just be swallowed up by console makers? That's what I'm thinking. But Joe, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm not exactly a big Xbox person. There was also a recent interview where they did finally admit that, yes, Xbox has lost this console generation war. Mm-hmm. For those of you still believing there is such a thing as console wars, it's not. Yeah. It ended. We can all go home now. Also, there was recent talk between Bobby Kotick, video game corporate devil and all-around man with a golden parachute.
Yeah.
And I believe Phil Spencer, and they sat and talked about how Game Pass actually does devalue games because they cannot get increased revenue in games because of day one Game Pass, or in some scenarios where, like with the EA thing, why would I go buy the new Call of Duty when I can just get on Game Pass in 5 weeks?
That's fair. Which I understand to a certain point. If it was just for Xbox, exclusives, it would make sense. But let's kind of be honest. Xbox kind of gave Sony the middle finger with a lot of the titles that were available on PlayStation that were also going to be available on Xbox. Which, like you said, why am I going to spend $60 to $65 on a brand new game when I can just wait for it to come on Xbox Game Pass and I can play it because I'm already paying $20 a month for it? Yep. So it's a fair point. But at the same time, the Xbox Game Pass was really the best value for Xbox at the time because PlayStation was like, okay, you have to have a PlayStation, you have to have PlayStation Plus to play online. You have to have this to actually download games. So it's like $9 a month here, $9 a month there. After all said and done on the PlayStation side, you're paying $30 a month for 3 different things. While Xbox was saying, look, we got all of our stuff all in one. You get the library, you play online, you get to download, $20 a month. Same time, day one access is great. Do I think it needs to be limited to certain titles? Yes, if you're talking from a business standpoint. But if you're like the very conservative price gamer, it's like you love it, especially on Xbox. You'll take it and run with it. But the whole idea of them acquiring Bungie, I'm not against it because Bungie at one point was collaborating with Microsoft again, Halo, before 343 Industries took it over. So I'm not against it. I think Bungie definitely needs to have the backing of a bigger banker player. But then again, for me, playing Destiny 2 right now, especially the Lightfall campaign, it is awesome. It's great. I have no issues with it. But I would love for them to retweak the things. Now, I don't think they'll get Sega. I'm going to be honest. I think Sega likes the fact that they can make money as an independent IP. I don't see them being acquired by really anybody. But any thoughts on that, Joe, before we move on to the next one?
No, not really. I mean, the biggest problem with Game Pass, with doing selected games, is we got to realize Xbox does not have a lot of exclusive first-party things that aren't Halo.
Yeah,
they are the biggest issues. They do not have a very diverse single-party IP.
Yeah, so that's what's just. I mean, they do. Don't get me wrong. Their library is great. Their library is great. But, when it comes to IPs, they are very select about what they release. But
I mean, we're still waiting for a new KI.
You and
Hashtag
me both.
bring back KI.
You and me both. But moving right along, guys, I did want to cover this James Gunn news because James Gunn, the head of DC Studios, has confirmed this himself. At first, this was reported by Deadline, but James Gunn did come back and say it's confirmed. For Superman Legacy, we do have our Superman and our Lois Lane. And forgive me if I mispronounce this guy's name. David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan will be playing Clark Kent and Lois Lane in Superman Legacy. Now Rachel Brohedas. Now Rachel seems familiar. She is the lead for the Marvelous Miss Maisel. That's on Amazon Prime. Great show. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. But David Cornsweet, which again, I didn't know who this guy was, and that to me is perfect.
So I went and looked about what he's going and saw some things. Mm-hmm. This man is the perfect Clark Kent.
I mean, besides the fact he's 6'5".
Well, see, that's the other thing. We'll get into that in a moment. So, his acting, he is a big dude, but he plays like he is a very small dude, as Clark Kent should be.
Yeah,
that's the one problem I had with Henry Cavill, is that anytime you see Henry Cavill as Clark Kent, I don't see Clark Kent. I see, I'm still Superman.
Yeah.
Or, hi, I'm Henry Cavill, and I need to be painting my Warhammer till they tell me to get into the Superman costume. At no point do I ever envision Clark Kent.
Yeah.
You've seen Superman and Lois has the best version of Clark Kent. It's probably next to Dean Cain.
Yeah.
Regardless of Dean Cain's current personal mind of status and being now. Him and Tyler Hoffman are probably the two best live action Clark Kents, because you can believe they are two separate people.
Yeah.
Except for that one point in Superman and Lois where that one dude threatens his son. He goes right into the bar and nearly kills the dude. But that's a different thing. But so this one, he is not only... We have Doctor Who syndrome already.
Yeah.
We already have people coming in and goes why did you get somebody that looks just like Henry Cavill to be, and not Henry Cavill to be Superman? It's well, that's because this dude and Henry Cavill look like Superman.
Yeah.
And everybody in the comics, in the book, in the movies, and the TV shows look like Superman because they all kind of look like, Henry Cavill kind of looks like Brandon Roth. Brandon Roth kind of looks like Christopher Reeves. Christopher Reeves literally is just Superman.
I'm gonna be honest, Brandon Roth and Christopher Reeves gotta be related. They have to be related somewhere.
It's a Doctor Who. He just keeps regenerating. He goes from comic book to Christopher Reeves to Brandon Roth to Henry Cavill to this new guy. So they casted a perfect Superman. I'm all for it. The other stuff I've been seeing about this, he won't be as big as Henry Cavill when he works out. So first off,
You're muted. Joe, check your audio. You fell off, sir. You fell off a little bit. Nope, still can't hear you. So, I mean, while Joe's getting his audio together, but no, I mean, as Joe's about to explain, but to me, it's I keep saying I love unknown characters. I love the fact that, when it comes to a mix of things, I want something different. Now, don't get me wrong. Henry Cavill played a great Superman. Loved it to death. But, thanks to him, I mean, between Warner Brothers and just messing the opportunity up, really just lost a great opportunity to have more Superman movies. Now, this guy, of course, as Gunn has said, he wants a younger Superman, which it looks like he's gotten. A taller Superman, which it looks like he is. So I'm just curious where we go from there. So I think, Joe, we got you back. So what were you saying?
So I was saying, Henry Cavill, he is 6 foot half an inch. At least I think he's 6 foot half an inch or 6'1". This dude is 6'4", 6'5". So even if he works out, he's going to be bigger than Henry. Although on top of that, we does have high money muscle suits that are the Hollywood grade, so we don't even need to do that.
All right.
Hopefully we will do the one thing that really bothered me about the Flash and, shave the chest a little. I don't need to be seeing bunny fluff coming out of the top of the costume.
I think they'll solve that problem. At least I hope. I hope that problem will resolve itself. But also, Rachel playing Lois Lane. Again, if you have not seen The Marvelous Miss Maisel, to me, that's a great casting. She can do it.
I mean, the woman in the picture alone just is no, that's Lois.
Yeah. So that's why I was I'm not against it. I love it. As we're finding out more information about Superman Legacy. Gunn is very, very. And I gotta say this about Gunn. I trust in Gunn with DC as far as his direction. Him and Peter Safran are really, really treating this thing with kid gloves, and you can tell. The only thing I'm waiting for to see is who's going to be the one they're going to pitch in Superman Legacy. I mean, will it be Luthor? Will it be a different villain? Again, to me, I am looking forward to it. But the casting, I have no issues with, because we do need to have some unknowns. There's sometimes an unknown.
Mark money's on Brainiac.
I wouldn't be against it, but we do need to have some unknowns when it does come to acting, especially with new generation out there that are seeing superheroes for the first time. We do need to have some new blood out there. So again, I'm not against it. You guys let us know in the comments. Do you think it's great? Do you think it's not? We've seen enough Henry Cavill jokes. We get it. Okay? We get it. We understand it. We're just asking you guys your opinions on that. But we know about the great value Henry Cavill's. And that just goes to show you before we move on to the next piece of news. It just goes to show you that some actors are just associated with roles that we can't see other people playing. Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't say, I mean, for me, it's always going to be, for Batman, it's like, Michael Keaton is my quintessential Batman. Does that mean that Val Kilmer did that means that Val Kilmer do a bad job? Absolutely not. I love Batman Forever. I love the fact that he did a great job in that. George Clooney was a great Bruce Wayne, but Joel Schumacher kind of gave us a very crappy Batman. Christian Bale, Nolan's shot at Batman. Loved it. Love the fact that the direction he went with it. Love the fact of how Joker was done, and Bane was questionable. It was, but at the same time, not against it. But again, what I'm getting to is that some people just get associate the actors with the roles they're playing that they can't see someone else playing. Case in point, The Witcher. Because after this season, it's going to be Hemsworth. It's going to be Liam Hemsworth being The Witcher. And from what I've been understanding about this man is really taking it seriously. So, want to give the man a fair shot. But that's all I'm saying. But speaking of things that were not on my... I'm going to say one more thing.
James Gunn did come out recently and going, do not ask us about Batman casting. We are not worried about Batman casting right now. We are not casting Batman for potentially a year and a half. Do not ask.
Okay. And I'm not against that. As much of a Batman fan, I'm good with that. Let the cow rest for a little while. You can tell other stories.
Also, because of the turnout of the Flash, they may be reconsidering the guy who directed the Flash was tapped to be doing Batman the Brave and the Bold. There is possible reconsideration already now because of the Flash and his defending of the movie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's God bless. That's just I understand that you have to do some things, but it's like, come on now.
You can't just say, yeah, we ran into some problem with the CGI department. There's no reason to go out on a limb and goes like, well, this movie, the reason why it looks like this is from Barry's point of view. It's like
that was the
point of view is not an all-encompassing shot, including himself.
That was the weakest sauce on earth. I'm like, just say that you guys did what Hollywood is striking against right now. You guys put writers, graphic designers, and you push them to really Amazon algorithm high expectations, not realizing that they're humans. And
even the Indian people just flat out says like, hey, we worked with a restricted budget because the majority of the budget went to Wakanda Forever.
Yeah,
makes sense.
But at the same time, we didn't complain. Did we? I mean, that was a straightforward answer. And as you can tell, once that was said, no one blinked an eye. But you're just there and tell us what's the way the Flash would have seen it? No, sir. This is what scares me about that man directing a Star Wars movie and saying that he's got creative license. But again, I digress. Disney's a whole other animal when it comes to their movies. But speaking of movies and television, your favorite kaiju is now available on Pluto TV. That's right. Godzilla will be given his own Godzilla channel that has all the Toho films and animated TV shows. This will have every Toho film up to Final Wars, including the Rebirth of Mothra films and the 70s animated show and the TriStar Godzilla animated series. If you don't have Pluto TV, you can definitely download it and be able to watch it 24/7. And I don't know about you, I gotta re-download it anyway because there's some Godzilla movies I forgot about. But Joe, any thoughts on this?
I fall asleep to it now.
I fall asleep to it now. Damn. But
that's not me. That's not me saying anything bad, guys. This is me using the roars of Godzilla as my white noise while I sleep.
Damn. But I know
Top Gear, Garfield and Friends, or what's the other one? Tokusatsu. Like my favorites list is very limited, so I'm either falling asleep to 3 buffoons in a car, a cat that eats lasagna, robots in spandex, or giant lizards destroying Tokyo gas stations.
Nice. Oh god. Okay. So again, guys, as we talked about Godzilla, and now we're switching to wrestling. Just the wrestling game, I should say, because I'm not going to talk about Forbidden Door. Joe hasn't had a chance to watch it. I will say it was great. And of course, Money in the Bank right now because it's overseas. More than likely it's either wrapped up or it's still going on right now, but we're not going to talk about that either. What we are going to talk about, however, is that there is another wrestling game that has been recently released. I myself cannot wait to play it just because it reminds me of the old school WCW, NCW Revenge, and WWF No Mercy. AEW is coming out with a similar game. Yep, that. So what Joe's showing right there. And AEW has actually released their game, which is called AEW Fight Forever, and here's a short trailer for it.
AEW Fight Forever. The wait is over. Do you have what it takes to fight forever?
Do you remember the days when you used to just pick up a video game and play? Well, that's back.
And now it's time to reignite the magic.
Get ready to experience
Casino Battle Royale. Ladder matches.
Tag team battles like never before. Exploding barbed wire matches.
Customization. Minigames.
Career mode. I'm better than you.
And so much more.
Do you have what it takes
to fight forever?
AEW Fight Forever on sale now.
So yeah, that's the trailer for AEW Fight Forever, and I cannot wait to play it. Because again, one of the guys behind it, Kenny Omega. If you don't know who he is in the world of wrestling, I don't think you got a pulse. But then this is not an insult. Again, one of the very few many recognizable faces in the world of sports entertainment. Kenny Omega is actually behind this, along with Ukes. Which, if you understand, if you recognize the creator, Ukes, they were the ones behind the game that Joe just showed for N64 and for PlayStation. They were behind WCW NWO Revenge. They were behind WWF No Mercy. That type of gameplay, which is I'm hoping is going to be, because I do like, don't get me wrong, I do like pickup games to where, again, those are games you can pick up, get to learn, get the controls down, and immediately enjoy them. I'm hoping the same thing for AEW Fight Forever. Again, I'll be giving a review of that once I actually get the game and download it and play it. But it's always nice to see a different variety than WWE 2K. I'm not saying that WWE 2K24 wasn't great, from my understanding that it is, but I always like to have different variety of games. We used to have it all the time. You had your WCW games, you had your Fire Pro Wrestling, you had your WWE Raw, and then you had SmackDown, and of course the variations of SmackDown. But again, variety is the spice of life, and cannot wait above all else try AEW Fight Forever. But Joe, any thoughts on that?
Did you see who was in the game?
Yes, I did.
Man. Okay, so for those of you who are not aware and we're not paying attention, Owen Hart is in this game. Owen Hart is in this game. Why is Owen Hart in this game? Well, if you don't know, Owen Hart is, I believe, the only wrestler in America to die in the ring. There has been an instance in Japan. There's been an instance in Mexico. Unfortunately, that also involved Rey Mysterio. But Owen Hart is the only sports athlete, wrestler, superstar, whatever we want to call him this time around, to unfortunately pass away as a result of an accident in the ring. As such, his wife, Martha, why do we keep saying that name? Has pretty much outlawed his use in everything for WWE because she hates Vince McMahon with an undying passion of several burning suns and several black holes and several collapsing suns.
But understandable.
Oh, understandably so. So the only way you could play Owen Hart in any WWE game is if you went to the creator wrestler mode and looked up every single possible coordinate known to man to make him. However, nowadays, as probably a pointed jab at the WWE video games, she has allowed them to use probably his likeness and his voice work. I don't know if this has voice work or not. So on that part, I'm guessing that.
Does.
Yeah, but I'm saying for Owen Hart's.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm saying like that part may be a thing.
Yeah.
They may be some recorded audio clips or like AI generated voice work involving his voice. Again, that part on my end is pure speculation, but as a pointed jab at the WWE, Martha Hart gave permission to put Owen in this wrestling game.
Yeah.
That is tremendous. Also, CM Punk is there, which we did not know if he was going to be in the game for months on end because of that little spat between him and Kenny Omega and his crew.
Yeah.
Because at one point he was the center cover part,
and they changed it multiple times. I said it was it's almost like a Batista in or he's out at this point. But surprisingly enough, yeah, he still made the game, and he is still. I guess he's permanently on Collision for right now. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah, I'll probably get to try it on July 4th. I've been playing too many other things at the moment, so.
Well, speaking of other things, because you got to play this, I didn't, and I'm jealous as hell because I am a Final Fantasy fan. I don't have a PlayStation 5 yet, keyword yet, because, I have other things and responsibilities that I got to take care of, unfortunately. But, Joe, really quick, sir, your impressions of Final Fantasy 16.
I get to hear somebody called a cock in the first 5 minutes of the game. I'm in love.
Yeah.
No, seriously. Within the first 5 minutes of the game, one of the people just looks at somebody and is like, you cock. It's like, oh, we're going with very, very obvious British humor. I'm at home here.
I'm just looking forward to it. Just like the whole idea. So just speaking on the outside in, how is it as far as, have you got into it, gameplay? Is it form-fitting? Is it different from other
I'm in the third act. So you play as 3 different time periods in Clive's age where he's 15, 28, and 33. So I am now where he is 33. I will not spoil any story parts beyond that. There's several controversies surrounding this game already. First and foremost, people were saying that this was supposed to be open world. No, that was a mistranslated thing from a interview with one of the series producers where he goes, our maps are big. People misconstrue that and say we're open world. No, the zones are big. The zones are just big. That does not mean that we are running down corridors. We get into big zones. All the final level fights are all kaiju battles, as they should be. Some are very, very obvious homages to certain kaiju movies.
Okay.
Or anime. If you've played the demo, you see a freak just absolutely decimate somebody, and it is very obvious that the killing animation and fighting animation is ripped straight from EVA Unit 1 tearing into an angel when it's gone berserk.
Huh.
You just got to look at it. Combat is very Devil May Cry.
Okay.
Complete with form switching midway through. Item crafting does not really play that heavy a factor in this thing. You certainly can do it, but you really only have your weapon and 2 armor slots of bracers and pants.
Okay.
And then your weapon. And a lot of the times you get a weapon that's stronger, and then you go to the forge, make it a +2 sword, and within 10 minutes, oh, by the way, here's this sword, which has plus 20 more stats than the sword you just made 15 minutes ago. It's like, what's the point? As I said, very Devil May Cry. The game honestly kind of reminded me of Ashura's Wrath in terms of pacing, where the play cycle is beat a lot of mobs, be a big dude, then go play the boss fight until the QTE start popping up to do moves that will melt your eyeballs. I have just now gotten to the part of the game where hunting is a thing. So, and that's about 20 hours in.
Okay.
The other controversy that people are saying this is not a very Final Fantasy thing, and are pointing out all sorts of very bizarre things like there's no job system. Well, job systems were only a thing in Final Fantasy 5 and 12. Well, it's not turn-based. Final Fantasy had been turn-based for a while. We went turn-based, then active time battle, then programmable battling in 12.
Yeah.
And 14. 13 is an amalgamation of several different styles. What were some of the other ones? This doesn't have anything to Final Fantasy. What Final Fantasy are these people playing? Because Final Fantasy to me is crystals, center point of the story.
Yeah.
Fantasy. We're in God knows what era, a version of Europe where it's fantasy and I'm fighting dragons.
Yeah.
On a regular basis. I turn into a giant dog, burning dog man. That's pretty fantastical. There's someone named Sid. He plays a very pivotal part in the game, which I just people's complaints about this thing.
Okay.
I do understand there are pacing issues, and I will admit there are. It's like, let's do this big climactic thing. By the way, can you go get that chocobo for me? And that's because the side quest, the development team that worked on this is the development team that worked on Final Fantasy 14, which is the MMO. So a lot of their side quests are very MMO based. Very go talk to this person. Okay, go talk to this person. Here's a code. Now go talk to that person. Then go talk to this person.
Yeah.
Or, sir, I need you to go grab me 5 of these and then bring them back. Very fetch quest stuff from MMOs. I don't really have a problem with that because, you know, that's just how you get the grind out. We do have some other cool things in there, like the home base gives you access to arcade mode, where you just basically do replay a level with no cutscenes and a point counter for your combo system a la Devil May Cry, where you try to achieve S rank every encounter. It just gives you points. You can replay a level and get different drops. You even have a practice arena where you can practice and get your combat combos down.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of stuff to it. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it. The other thing I've been playing is Aliens Dark Descent, which is that squad-based isometric
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
game.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. How'd you like it?
It's very stressful.
That bad or every choice is like, if you don't get it right, you're screwed.
So in the first level, I am in an alien hive. I'm in an alien hive because they've taken over a thing. And I don't think anything of it. And they're like, oh, it's a hive. I mean, you know, I'm sure the end level boss is going to be a high level alien. Probably a Praetorian or a warrior or thing, because the midway boss through that level was a Crusher, which is a alien that got bred with cattle. So I set down a sentry gun. I flamethrower part of the land ahead of time so that the cone of flame leaves a residue that will hurt aliens about 5 to 10 damage as they move through it. I lay down a cone of suppressing fire ahead of time. You can set it to be a cone for suppressing fire when anything slows down aliens by at least 70% movement rate.
Okay.
Now I'm in a corridor, so it's not like they're going to be able to jump strafe or anything. Open the door. There's the queen. I die almost immediately.
Damn.
So we run the scenario about 18 times, and then on the 18th time I get it, and then I realize, there's RNG for getting out of the hive. So that's another 10 times of getting out of there. So the first level took me about 28 tries of save scumming to get out of there in the first thing. As I said, this is very stressful.
I'll give you that.
But it's very fun.
Okay, cool. Well, that gives me hope about both that and Final Fantasy 16. Your boy just has to get a PS5, which are starting to become more and more available now. But really quick, some other impressions that we did have. This one again, that's currently out on Netflix, and I am basically talking about Black Clover, Sword of the Wizard King. Really quickly, it was definitely good for it to be. I believe that's the first OVA for Black Clover. Great movie. If you're a fan of Black Clover, you're gonna love it. If you've never seen Black Clover, it's still a fun introduction to the series that'll hopefully have you watching it. But I highly, highly recommend it if you have not already seen it. Also, another movie that I would highly recommend as well, guys. I have to give it to Chris Hemsworth. I have to give it to him on this. Extraction, the first one, if you haven't seen it, also directed by Joe Anthony Russo, who gave us Civil War and The Winter Soldier. First one, if you haven't seen Extraction, very well done. The second one, they decided to go for the fences. I'm just going to be honest with you about that one. I am not going to go into detail about that one just because there's really so much going into it, so much action, and that there's so many twists in the story. I just highly recommend that you watch it. I will say this: the first and second Extractions have nothing to do with each other, so there is no correlation between the two. But it does have plenty of great action. I'd highly recommend that. So definitely that and Extraction 2 and Black Clover that are both on Netflix. Highly recommend watching. Also, honorable mention, Bloodhounds. Bloodhounds is a Korean show that's also on Netflix that kind of reminds me of Jaime no Ippo. Just because the guys form, the action scenes are just, they remind me of, shoot, I can't think of that name right now. It'll come to me later because I was going to say fight scenes. It was brutal. It was bloody. The Raid, there we go. That's the name I was looking for. It does have Raid style shooting and fight scenes. But again, highly recommend that on Netflix as well. So the reason why I say that is because we are going to get down to two of things that are going to probably take this up before we get to the Hellfire Gala, which Joe has information on. Because I have to say this with these two shows. I'm going to start with this one because it's going to be the lighter of the two shows, because the next one is going to be about Secret Invasion, and that's going to be a whole other story in itself. Superman and Lois, their finale just wrapped up for season 3. Now, we do know that season 4 is coming, but we do know season 4's budget has been significantly reduced. Me and Joe did talk about previously that several cast members will not be coming back or have been reduced. Still surprised to see Steel go, just because I thought Steel would be one of the ones that sticks around. But, that being said, the final finale, again, this is going to be the only way we can talk about this, guys, is spoilers. So if you have not seen the final behind Superman and Lois, now would be a good time to mute us because we're going to go right into it.
May I?
You go first, Joe.
The first thing that came to mind after watching this was the Simpsons meme of the slapping the kid in the back of the head of, that's how you do a doomsday fight.
Yeah.
By the way, that's also how you just flat out do doomsday. This one looked legitimately like doomsday, not the great cave troll of Moria.
And that's the thing about it. And for all those that are wondering, yes, that's exactly what happened. long story short, Luther came back. Michael Kuditz, who played Abraham on The Walking Dead, did play Luthor, and my goodness, it is a Luthor I can be proud of. Huh?
I don't like him as Luthor.
I love him as Luthor.
I think it's because my expectations are so high because I have like Clancy Brown, Michael Rosenbaum, and Jonathan Cryer.
Yeah, but his Luthor kind of reminded me of, like, when I looked at Michael Kudis playing Luthor, it reminded me of Blockbuster from the Nightwing run, where it literally had, he was menacing, but he was also mental. And it was like the whole mental aspect combined with the physicality. It really was like a Kingpin, really. Now that I think about it, it was more like Kingpin from Daredevil. Like, he had the mentality behind it, but he also had that veracity behind it as well. And I loved him, especially during the prison scene. And then the most thing I said, here's how you know it's a villain. When you walk from prison to the Kent farmhouse to sit there and say, I just come to deliver a message. I want you to apologize. And then watching Lois apologize, say, you think words is enough? I want you to retire. And then at the same time, you know, finding Bizarro Superman and basically pointing him like a missile at Clark, that itself was, again, as Joe said, proper way to do Doomsday. Now, everybody, well, Doomsday wasn't, we know the origin of Doomsday. We know. But for intents and purposes of just the show, I am not mad about the fact of how they did Doomsday in this aspect. I'm not mad because it shows Luthor's brutality, but it also shows him seeing a way of hurting Superman. I am not against it. I am not against the fact that Doomsday looked great. I am not against the fact that the fight scene between him and Clark was awesome, including how it ended, which I love the cliffhanger ending. At the same time, as Joe, again, I will point this out. How is it that a network television show with a reduced budget can give us not only a great Doomsday, but give us a great fight scene when Snyder had multiple unlimited funds? And as Joe put it so eloquently, but I have another way of saying what Doomsday looked like to me. The Doomsday in Snyderverse looked like Clayface if Clayface was left in a microwave.
So Clayface from the Batman?
Yes, that's what it looks like to me. And this is why I say I don't understand it. Again, this is not a mark. I'm not trying to beat down on Snyder. Zack Snyder is a great visual director. There are many movies out there that will support that point. He is a great visual graphics art director. I mean, Sucker Punch, 300, Army of Zombies, Army of Thieves, Rebel Moon, which is his next thing. But he's great on the visual arts. He is. Is he a terrible writer? I would think that maybe his ambitions outdo his limitations on what you could do on film. That being said, Doomsday here was great. I love the fact that there's still a dynamic between Clark and his son, which his son is starting to kind of branch out, and he kind of had that moment like, don't you ever do that again? I'm like, oh shit, are we about to see Superboy for real? But again, it as great as the season was, it does give me pause for season 4 because am I still going to watch season 4? Absolutely. But with the reduced budget, because I was hoping Superman and Lois would go to Max. If they go to Max, maybe the storytelling would increase. The budget there is obviously bigger. You can go a little bit more depth into the stories with Superman. But I'm not against the fact that as much as I was hoping they would get a season 4, they are getting a season 4, albeit season 4 is the final season. But overall, the season finale was great. I couldn't knock it. But Joe, your thoughts on that?
No, pretty much you said what I said. I really, really enjoyed this finale. I will miss this.
Mm-hmm.
I find it very odd that pretty much next season we're only going to have Luthor and anybody named Kent is going to be our cast. I don't know how you're going to tell a story with just that. But, you know, I'm not a television writer, so I don't know how this. Not going to tell them how to do their job. Hopefully, the reduced budget does not hinder the fight that needs to pick up during that season. Season opening.
But that's the thing. That's what I said. I'm hoping. I don't think it will. I will go on the positive. I will go on the optimistic side of things. I don't think it will ruin it. But at the same time, you can't help but have a little bit of pause, because to me, Superman and Lois was probably one of the better written shows. I guess you could say they were a part of the Arrowverse, but really not a part. They're kind of on that fringe area. But they were one of the better written shows. And they've always, and like I said, the weird thing about CW shows, once they get past season 3, it's either make or break. I mean, Arrow got past season 3, went downhill. Flash got past season 3, went downhill. Stargirl was about to approach season 3, and we won't even.
No, we got season 3.
Oh, was Frenemies or was the other one? Well, Frenemies was season 2. What was season 3 again? No, season 3 was the body count. Yeah, I'm sorry.
We got 4 seasons of Stargirl.
Did we get 4? I thought we got 3.
No, we got 3. So we had the Injustice Gang, Eclipso, and then season 3.
Yeah, because I don't think we got a 4. They can't. They stopped it after 3, which again I always thought was a great travesty, because it was finally starting to get to some hearts, especially around Joe McHale's character. But the point I'm making out of all this is that for those CW shows that got beyond 3, they just seem to go downhill. Do I think the same thing's going to happen between Superman and Lois? I don't think it will. I think the show writer has got a pretty good handle on things. Is the cast reduced? Yes. Do I still think they give us a phenomenal season 4? Absolutely. I have that much hope in it. But again, great series finale. Love how they just put on a cliffhanger. Can't really be mad about it, but my God, that battle was something else. But speaking of battles, it's the other show I'm getting into, guys. We got to talk about this one, because my goodness, we're only 2 episodes into Secret Invasion. 2. We are 2 episodes into Secret Invasion, and man, Nick Fury has been through it. Again, we're going to talk spoilers here. So if you have not seen Secret Invasion, if you have yet to watch it, now would be a good time to come back to us a few minutes later, just because there's no way for us to talk about without spoiling it, especially in this case. Just a quick recap of episodes 1 and 2. Fury does come back from Saber. He was actually summoned back to see Talos, who is basically going after a Skrull called Garak, who is attempting to basically take over the world. Now, this is fast forward past Captain Marvel, where the Skrulls still don't have a home of their own. They're very frustrated, I guess you could say, with the fact they're still seen as refugees, and the fact that they are starting to make moves of their own, while Talos and Maria Hill are just trying to keep the peace. Nick is trying to do his best to get a hold of the situation, but even at the end of the first episode, where Maria Hill sees Nick Fury shoot her, of course it's not Nick Fury, it's actually Garak, where she sat there and finally finds him and says, "It's you," was probably the first gut punch that we've had out of this. Of course, the next episode, we see Fury talking with Rhodey, who Rhodey is very, I won't say protected, but at the same time, he's very nonchalant. Especially with Slovakia, and then he sat there and said, he's there and tell the lady, he says, she's got one more time to do the side eye. I am going to put on a suit and carpet bomb this place, which again was a road that we all know and love. But the conversation between him and Fury was a little bit different, since Fury is pretty much saying, look, there are those around us who may or may not be Skrulls that we need to stop. And you see Don Cheadle play a hell of a role where he goes, look, man, I got a different responsibility, a different role now, and I'm here cleaning up your mess. So it's a no-go from Rhodey as far as his help from Fury. Fury himself is really beside himself. Even more so to where, after talking with Talos, again, him and Talos did have a little bit of a spat, I mean, I've been mad at some people, but I never told them to get off a train. You know, I could have went down a few cars down, but we still gonna ride the same train together. But ultimately, we do see Samuel L. Jackson do enter a home where a lovely woman is there, and the first thing she says is, "You're forgetting something," as he puts on a ring, embraces her, and that is how the second episode ends. So, Joe, a lot to unpack there from the first 2 episodes of Secret Invasion. What'd you think?
I mean, this is going to be a slow burn for a lot of people, but this is a good spy story.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the fact that they are trying to make Super Skrulls.
Yes, the machine that was there, yeah.
It's like power for Ice Giants, powers of Groot, power to things like, oh, you're trying to make Super Skrulls. This is bad.
Which is what that's always like I say. Okay, so we got Frost Giants, we got Extremists, and we have a Groot. Not the Groot that we know and love from the Guardians, but a Groot. So we do know that there's more than one. And yeah, they're trying to make a Super Skrull, which kind of begs the question of you know what we saw in the Marvels, where we saw Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel fighting what looks to be a Super Skrull. At least that's my guess on that. But yeah, Secret Invasion is definitely being that slow burn. It does have you questioning everybody who's a Skrull, who's not a Skrull, and Khaleesi, which again is a definitely a scene stealer because her and her character, I keep calling her Khaleesi, although you know she will always be Khaleesi in my eyes. Her character was spot on as well, but you know, with Ross, or I guess Ross being impersonated, Maria Hill being killed, it does make you start to wonder: has Nick Fury actually lost a step, or is this just a bigger storytelling? But either way, I'm not against it. I like where it's going. I like the fact that because every time we've seen Nick Fury, anytime we've seen Fury, Fury seems to be always in control, always having the answers, always having the angles, always seeing what's coming. We're used to Fury like that, but we've never seen Fury where he seems to be off his game. He has no friends. You have no support. At the same time, you're more. It's like if we took Hawkeye's story and just really decided to go ahead and do Budapest in an actual show, because that's what it feels like to me, and I'm not against it. I like seeing Fury not being at the top of his game, but still try to make things work. But ultimately, between the first 2 episodes, I've got no issues with it. I thought it was great. It is going to come down to a point that this is only 6 episodes. 6 episodes that we will actually get to watch, and we're already through 2, which lets me know the next 4 episodes are going to be ramping up very high.
So I wonder if they're going to actually introduce Kl'rt. That'd be the great thing if they get Kl'rt, bring Kl'rt in, and make him the test subject to be the first Super Skrull.
Yeah.
Because for those unaware, Kl'rt is the Skrull who is the official Super Skrull. He is the original. I have all the Fantastic Four's power Super Skrull. The other thing I wonder is if the good Mrs. Fury is actually a Skrull, and I don't mean replace. I wonder if he legit married a Skrull.
That's what I'm thinking too, because the way Talos sat there and said she misses you, I was like, I thought he was talking about his wife. I didn't think he was talking about an actual Skrull Fury was married to. I thought it was his wife he was talking about. But the fact to see that with Trial Lieutenant is playing in the background, I was like, okay, that adds.
We
up.
also know that she's probably more dangerous than he ever hopes to be.
Pretty much so. But no, it's that, and the whole idea of just and let me not forget the scene where it's funny where Talos says, "How many?" Where he goes, "Well, how many of them?" When Fury asks, "How many do you think they're out there?" Talos says, "You think we need a lot to take over your planet? We can do it with a handful." And lo and behold, fast forward to the private meetings between all the prime ministers and presidents, and one, let's be honest, he's basically a Fox News. He's a Fox News affiliate. I give it to the guy. That guy plays. I forgot his name already, but that guy.
We'll just go with the Animaniac scene. We'll call him Buck Tuckerson.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong about the guy who's playing him. He's a phenomenal actor. I mean, he plays a douchebag, bad guy, and almost everything, but he's great at it. So I can't knock the actor for that. But that whole group was nothing but Skrulls, and they controlled at least 4 to 5 different points of the world, to the point to where Gravik comes in and says, "You will all recognize me as General," except one who is actually calling Talos and saying, "Look, they've all recognized him as the General, and we got to stop him." So at least there is one ally, at least for now. But yeah, that itself was a great scene. And again, like I said, to tell us in the next 4 episodes is going to be a lot. But I will be looking forward to it. But anything else you want to add to that, Joe?
No, I mean, it's just good.
It really is. But again, 4 episodes, 2 episodes down, 4 more to go. And again, you can't help but want to be interested in this. But moving right along, I'm going to toss this to Joe because, like I said, Barry tried to take us out. But like we said, you tried, Barry. You and Mother Nature tried, but we're still here. The Hellfire Gala. Hellfire Gala. If I could say words, that'd be great. Joe, you say you had more news on that?
So, Hellfire Gala happened in several comic stores across the nation. We did our own here in Nashville. So I went dressed as Hellfire Nova with a shirt on because I'm not going to shirtless Nova.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean, parts of me are Japanese and parts of me are Italian. We don't need to find out which and which.
And there's that image again.
There we go.
Just when I thought it was gone. Thanks, Joe.
Just imagine noodles and soy sauce.
Oh, I'm not hungry, but go ahead, Joe.
I can keep going with those analogies. Just imagine talking with your hands and a giant robot comes down behind you.
I'm trying to find pictures of this.
You do this and lasers fire from the background.
Oh, dear God.
So anyways, no, we had a good time there. All X-Men books were on discount. We had one of the artists for Spawn come in. He also did some minor X-Men work and Iron Man work. This is also one of our favorite comic book shop people's last days with Rick's Comic City. So Connie will no longer be with them. She will still try to do her best from the outside to help out when she can, but her time at Rick's Comic City has ended, and we wish her well and the best of luck. Oh, okay, yeah. I forgot Connie posted that. It's not too bad.
Nah, look sharp.
Not bad for 15 minutes of going to Goodwill and then finding everything I needed in one go.
Better than me when shopping for my own clothes, but I digress. But go ahead.
Yeah, she was also there as Kitty Pryde from Hellfire Gala, and I'm sure more pictures will be coming in over the course of the thing. So yeah, a lot of good time. We were there for quite a bit. Then, of course, storms came, so we had to wait out the storm.
Yeah, I was trying to.
I'm just hoping other cosplayers came. Yes, there he is. Not somebody I'm familiar with, but I don't read a lot of Spawn or Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
So didn't get a chance to sit and talk with him any. Would have loved to, but just didn't have the time. Had a good time. It was very nice. It's just kind of a bummer that so it was Connie's last day.
I was trying to see if they had more pictures, but like you said, they may be uploading them as they go along. But I didn't see that when I said, "Yep, I know that was Joe." But yeah, that was the Hellfire Gala event, and to where again, as you see there, not to take away from the Hellfire Gala event that's going to be happening at D23, which is exactly 21 days from now. I think they said they're doing the Hellfire Gala event for D23. So yeah, July 22nd. So it's not too far from now for that. So we're looking forward to that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with. An actual Hellfire. I don't know why I can't say that. An actual Hellfire Gala that you can actually attend. But anything, Joe, you want to add to that, sir?
No, I mean, we're just not covering comics tonight because national distribution kind of got screwed up this week. So there's not enough comics to actually populate a full list. So there's that. So, we're just going out there. I'm just sitting there fighting in Street Fighter still. Silver rank 4, slowly grinding. ever grinding.
I have got to get a. I have.
My matchup with Ryu is still terrible, but I'm winning more against Giles.
I have got to get a PS5. But anyway, but that as we wrap it up, guys, we still want to show love to Rick's Comic City. Again, Rick's Comic City has multiple locations, one in Nashville and one in Clarksville, Tennessee. Also, check out Locker Nerd, one of their new endeavors out there at Fort Campbell, Clarksville, Tennessee. Voted Nashville's #1 place for go-to for comics. So if you are in the Middle Tennessee area, definitely check them out. Rick's Comic City, as you can see on their website, rickscomiccity.com is currently showing there to where you can buy comics, you can buy graded comics, you can do hardcovers, you can do pull lists, as Joe has done multiple times and myself. So again, if you are in the Middle Tennessee area, definitely check them out. If you are not in the Middle Tennessee area, please support your local comic book store, support your local libraries. They are the last places to where you can actually get copies of the updated comics, updated mangas, anime, everything for your multimedia reading needs. But definitely support them as they are the last areas. And trust me, you will miss them when they're gone. But definitely check out Rick's Comic Book City in Nashville, Tennessee if you are available, and let them know we sent you. You won't get discounts, but let them know we sent you. But Joe, anything you want the people know about servers? We're wrapping it up.
No, every so often I'll stream some Street Fighter, but that's really about it right now.
Okay. Again, with his Street Fighter, because I said I can't. Lord, by the time I get on Street Fighter, I'm going to be rusty as all get out. But I am still going.
You say you'll be rusty as all get out, but you'll just look at half the new combat systems and just like, I do what with the him now.
See, I don't know about I may go classic because I know there's a classic setup and there's a modern setup.
Oh no, I'm not talking about button setup. I'm just talking about the drive gauge mechanic actually implementing it itself.
Ah, gotcha. Oh yeah, what about the forward and cancel and then the counters?
Like your EXs are not tied to your super meters, they're tied to your drive gauge. Your blocking is tied to your drive gauge.
Oh,
drive rushing is tied to your drive gauge. Drive impacts tied to your drive gauge. Drive reversal is tied to drive gauge.
I'm pretty sure I'll pick it up. Now, either that or it'll be fun. It'll be fun times watching me fail. But aside from that, guys, we do also want to show love to those that actually share our stuff as well. Shout out to What the Shit Podcast, because I just saw that you shared our podcast. Again, guys, we thank you a lot. Thank you, Blurred's Eye View. You shared our podcast as well. Thank you for that. Also, shout out to our other friend, Vaughn, at Big BZA Dot. Definitely check him out as he is working on new music for all the shows that we do have here. So definitely thank you for that. But definitely check him out on his YouTube channel as he does have music for free. And if music that you're trying to purchase, definitely hit him up as well. Big BZA Dot on all social media. Also, at the same time, guys, as Joe said, he will be with the Sticks on PS5. Where can they find you, Joe, under your PS5 handle?
Oh, Joe Italian last name over on Twitch.
Yep. As well as Total Justice Gaming on YouTube. As for myself, guys, Black Fox 447, you can find me on mostly every other social out there. I do reviews on everything that I watch, that I read, that I play, and even work out because I still do a couple push-ups. The link at the bottom of me, it'll make that a little bit bigger for you guys to see. If you copy and paste that link into your browser, it'll take you to our link tree that has a YouTube, Facebook, groups for all of our podcasts. How the fuck we got here? Get bitten off of this podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. And as Joe says, at the beginning of this podcast, guys, all of our podcasts can be found wherever podcasts can be heard. Whether it's Stitcher, for how long that's up. If you don't know the story, yeah, that's on a limited clock. We can be seen on Google Pod. We can be heard on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Opulence Radio, Always Record TV. Again, we're trying to spread our wings and fly, because if we can make this a full-time job, we will. And I do mean we will. But aside from that, guys, again, as we are approaching July, I cannot stress this enough. God's hot plate, which is pretty much the lower part of the U.S., is going to become a scorch zone. Please stay hydrated. Please stay hydrated. Please stay indoors. Avoid sunstroke. Avoid heat stroke. And as cons are coming up, and I'm going to keep saying this as cons are coming up, because Joe is a cosplayer, as he has said multiple times. Many of our friends are cosplayers. So the con etiquette, or I'm going to start calling these the con commandments. If you are going to a con, first and foremost, be polite. Be polite. Cosplayers are not there for your amusement. They are not playthings. They are not to be ogled. They are not to be anything but respected. Again, if you want a picture, approach them and ask. 9 times out of 10, they'll probably take a picture with you. But if you act like a dick, you got it coming to you. Also, going to a con, learn to use deodorant, learn to use soap, learn to use toothpaste, learn to use mouthwash. Simply put, guys, if you've never been to a con before, being at a con floor can sometimes have a lot of easygoing traffic, and sometimes it's sardines. What I mean by that is a guy like me and a guy like Joe could literally, as impressive as our physiques are, will look very small in an ocean full of people. And trust me, if you are funky, you will be found out. Don't be that guy. Please use soap. Please brush your teeth. Please use mouthwash. Hygiene. That's all we ask. And again, I stress this very heavily about cosplayers. Now, I know a lot of, I'm not saying male cosplayers don't get this, but from the female cosplayers out there, again, I consider myself security. So does Joe. So if we see friends of ours that are being harassed, we handle it. You've been warned. But at the same time, respect. Compliment on the cosplay, because you do not know how much it takes not only to make a cosplay, but to have the courage to wear it out in public. Because again, it is a brave thing to do that, to show off your work, whether you made it, whether you purchased it. The fact that you wanted to do it screams volumes about bravery. That should be honored and accepted and understood and respected. It's simple as that. But yeah, again, con season, go out there and enjoy it. Don't buy any food there unless it's really good, because me and Joe and others will tell you, con food is it's high and it's not worth the price. Now, I can't speak for all cons, just the ones I've been to. Let's just say they've just been very underwhelming on the con side of food. Now, the food trucks outside, chef's kiss. That's all I'm saying. But with that being said, Joe, any last words, sir, before we call it a night?
Nope.
Cool. With that being said, guys, again, this was a special edition. Barry tried to take us out Friday night, but we'll be back next Friday. Same Get Bit time, same Get Bit channel. Of course, as we said, love and respect cosplayers, love and respect each other, support others, despite what they may be doing, because again, support them the way you would support Beyonce if she knew you was alive. Aside from that, guys, take care of yourselves and each other. We'll all get through this. I've been Will. That's been Joe. This has been the Get Bit Podcast. And Barry, we told you couldn't take us out. Have a good night, guys. Peace.
Later.